For me, the most underrated Pokemon of all time is Dunsparce, specifically in Gen 2 games. I've gone through this many times, but it's one of the best choices, genuinely, because you can use Rage in the first gym. It's fantastic. Use it in the second if you want, but that was not ideal. Third gym against Whitney, you can just get the TM for Rollout and Mud Slap and just use that technique, lower their accuracy and roll out yourself. Even get Headbutt for a bit of stab damage. And then on to Morty, you are completely immune to all of his ghost type moves. And then you just use Dig. Super effective on the poison types. Levitate doesn't exist yet, so that's pretty cool. And then ignore it against the fighting gym, and then up against Jasmine you can use Dig again, and then up against Price you can use Rollout again on all of his and just get some good momentum going, and it's just exceptionally good. I always tend to try and get one on a Gen 2 game.
Now for me, I'm gonna have to go all the way back to Gen 2 and go with Dunsparce, mainly because I think when Dunsparce came out, people saw it as a Pokemon that it didn't have an evolution. It was just a single stage Pokemon. So they didn't really think it could be good. Well, I really think it didn't get enough love. I mean, in later generations they are showing it a lot more love, and they're giving it abilities like Certain Grace, a lot of really good TMs and HMs that it can learn. So it has a pretty good moveset. The stats really aren't the best, but I just really think that Dunsparce deserved more love than I got.
For me, I think I'd have to give it to Amistar, and that's because it's been something I've been using a lot lately on competitive Pokemon, mainly my rock teams, and that thing is an absolute star, and that is not a pun, I'm sorry, but it has seriously underrated. It's a really big threat. It can get some good speed with Shell Smash. It's a strong attacker, good coverage, so yeah, I'm gonna go for Amistar. Also a cool Gen 1 Pokemon, what's not to like?
Alright, which Pokemon is most underrated? Well, I have to say, there's a lot of Pokemon I think that are like kind of in the middle. You've got Pokemon that are generally beloved, like Charizard, like Greninja. You've got Pokemon that are usually not loved as much. One of my personal favorites is Kingler. I can't really tell you why. It's just the design is just great. The Pokemon is great. Its cry is amazing. But it's just more of like a feeling, not really a well to be explained reason for it. It's just my feeling. And I think Kingler might be a bit underrated. There's some Pokemon that have really simplistic designs that are not as complicated as your Nidokings or Garchomps. They're usually not liked as much, not as high profile. Those Pokemon are underrated, yeah, sure.
I think a lot of the baby Pokemon are underrated. Like, I get that they're not that great in battle, but they're still adorable things. I love most of the baby Pokemon. Like, my favorite one's Togepi, but I also love Igglybuff, Pichu, Wynaut, Azurill. They're all adorable.
I feel like that can be said about a lot of Pokemon the more you think about it, simply because there are so many, and it's just impossible for Game Freak to represent all 898 Pokemon all the same. But for me personally, I think I'd go for Misdrevious. I think that the design and idea was really cool, and I can remember back when I played Pokemon Colosseum that I fell in love with her and her evolution, Mismagius. And I just find it weird that you don't see those two more often in merch and events. Not to say that there are none, but I kind of just feel like they deserve more. It's just that I feel like they have a very effective ghost design and lore, and therefore should be a little bit more appreciated, I think.
Well, a lot of Pokemon come to mind, but the one that stands out the most is probably Shiftry. Ludicolo is actually a pretty viable competitive Pokemon, and it's like super vibrant and awesome and dancing, and there's so many instances where Ludicolo is hilarious, like for example in the Detective Pikachu movie when he just goes Ludicolo, you know what I'm talking about? We all know what that's, if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. But Shiftry doesn't really get any spotlight. I would love to see some more Shiftry. I love Shiftry. It's a really cool design. I thought it was super cool. I personally loved Nuzleaf because of the whole Nuzlocke lore, everything. If you know that story, if you don't, look it up. It was a web comic, and it's awesome. But I mean, the Shiftry line has done so much for the Pokemon community, but doesn't get enough love. Personally, that's what I think.
The answer to number one is very, very simple. The answer to number one is one of my favorite Pokemon, one of my favorite bug types is Beautifly. Beautifly is an amazing Pokemon. I have had a Beautifly in almost every region you can catch Beautifly. I've used it, and every time it has not let me down, not even once. Beautifly is a trooper until the very, very end, and that's what I love about it, and it's just so fun to use. If you haven't used one, go ahead and use one. You won't regret it.
See, I love Absol. Absol has the power of a god to me. Absol always helped me through literally any Nuzlocke. Not even Nuzlocke, just regular playing through. I especially started loving him starting Gen 3 when he was introduced. So yeah.
My personal opinion is that Lunatone is a very underrated Pokemon. Now, I used them in one of my Nuzlocke playthroughs, and he absolutely just decimated for me. And I think having the Rock Psychic combination, you know, Psychic is super offensive, and then Rock types are usually very defensive. So to combine those two typings into one Pokemon, I think it's very oppressive, to be honest. I think that's one of the main reasons why I think Lunatone is very underrated, and I don't see a lot of people actually try to use them, including Solrock actually.
So a Pokemon I feel is underrated is Licky. Now I love big bulky defensive mons and who can also do powerful attacks as well, and that is Licky in a nutshell. It is big and bulky, it can take a hit, but it can also deal out hits with powerful normal type moves like Body Slam and Return. This thing is absolutely amazing. People sleep on these big bulky normal type mons because they don't think they're that powerful, but they are amazing and I love them. So Licky, I always try and pick up a big bulky normal type mon like Snorlax, Granville, or Licky when I'm playing through Nuzlocke. Licky is that Pokemon for me, and I absolutely love big bulky normal type mons like Licky. It is amazing.
Klinklang and Livani. Yes. Just saying that Klinklang is amazing. Livani is amazing. So, and Klinklang is also my second favorite Pokemon, but yeah. Yeah. You never know. Klinklang can save your life. Also, Gear Grind. Just a good move. But yeah.
So I think the most underrated Pokemon probably has to be Emolga. Now, for starters, being someone who does a lot of shiny hunting, it's got a very, very nice shiny. The brown just seems to work so nice on it. You don't see a lot of people talking about Emolga now, especially that it wasn't in Sword and Shield. Obviously, that being the newest generation, nobody really talking about Emolga or really any of the Pika clones besides Morpeko at the minute. So yeah, I think Emolga has to be the most underrated Pokemon. Also because of the Iris and Sulk battle. I'm not sure if anyone actually remembers that from the Pokemon Black and White anime. It was such a good battle, and obviously Emolga coming away with the win, finishing it off with Volt Switch, and also having the static ability as well. It's just such a good Pokemon in terms of battles. I know the anime logic is a bit all over the place, as we all know, but I think Emolga has to be my favourite Pokemon in terms of the most underrated Pokemon.
For me, it's probably one of my favourite Pokemon, and I know it's quite a popular Pokemon, but we don't see much of it in the anime, in the games, or in the TCG, and that is Haxorus. I love Haxorus. It's such a cool Pokemon, and I think it's got one of the best shinies with the all black with the red blade on top. I just would love to see it more, especially in TCG. If we could see a shiny Haxorus card in a set like a Hidden Fates or a Shining Fates, chef's kiss. I would absolutely love that.
A Pokemon that I would consider underrated purely from a design standpoint is Caracosta, one of the Gen 5 fossil Pokemon. Personally, I really love turtles and tortoises, so that probably plays a bit of a part in it. And I know that in terms of actually battling, he's not very good at all because his speed is trash and his typing makes him like super weak to grass. But I really love the design of Caracosta. I used one in my white playthrough when I first played through the game at like 12 years old. And as a 12-year-old turtle and Pokemon lover, I grew pretty attached to Caracosta. And so I think that he probably deserves a little bit more love.
I don't know if it's really underrated, but I don't really hear many people talk about it. I would choose Noivern. I think it's a really cool Pokemon. It's got a really nice design, and I think it's usually quite good competitively, but I don't really feel like I hear enough people talk about it.
That's tough. I'm gonna say Drampa. Because Drampa just reminds me of the dragon from Neverending Story. I don't know if any of you have ever seen that. But also in the Pokédex, it says that if it finds a kid being bullied, it will burn down the bully's house. Like, that is... I want to pet Drampa.
I'll be honest here, I find the most underrated Pokemon to me to be Dhelmise. And my reasoning for this is that I've recently been enrolled in a draft league. I don't know, obviously if you're around my channel that much you probably wouldn't have seen it maybe. But in that draft league I have a Dhelmise. And I'll be honest, it's probably been the best team member I've had on my team. It's been very useful, get some late game wins. It does really well, to be honest. So yeah, I would say competitively and battle-wise, I think it's just because Dhelmise has got a bit of a bad appearance, really. But I would say Dhelmise is the most underrated Pokemon in my opinion.
It's gonna be really interesting. For me, I feel like Ribombee is very underrated in terms of competitive play and from how I've seen builds be made around it. I do the EBL and I did use Ribombee on my team, and Ribombee was really good. Yes, it was a setup mod, but it was still really cool Pokemon to see in action and everything.
Now, I could say Chatot here. I'm a big Chatot fan, but most underrated, Cormorant, I guess. Cormorant, like in the latest gen, Cormorant, Sinistea, both wreck shop. Cormorant in Pokemon Unite, Sinistea in the meta. They hit really hard. And possibly from a bird point of view, if we're looking at bird Pokemon, I would say Natu and Xatu. Cute burbs, but haven't seen much love. Could deserve cute burb, little round burb love.